in the glittering halls of Zerathia, where stars seemed to whisper secrets through the crystal domes overhead. Queen Lyra paced with the grace of a storm about to break, her hair, a cascade of shimmering white that caught the light like fresh snow under moonlight, framed a face that could command empires or shatter hearts with a single glance. Her skin glowed pale and flawless, almost ethereal, and her small, pointed ears, reminiscent of ancient earth elves, twitched with irritation. She wore a gown that hugged her curvaceous form, its fabric a blend of silk and star weave that shimmered with every step, revealing just enough to tease the imagination. But today, her beauty was overshadowed by fury. 19 nannies, 19, had come and gone in the span of 2 short months, each one fleeing in tears or terror from the royal nursery. Her offspring, the twin heirs to the throne, were a whirlwind of chaos, little bundles of energy with tentacles that could lash out unpredictably, telepathic tantrums that echoed through the palace walls, and an insatiable curiosity that turned every room into a battlefield. Lyra's advisors huddled in the shadows, their own alien forms, scaled skins and glowing eyes, bowed low in deference. "Your Majesty," one ventured, his voice a low hum like distant thunder. "We've exhausted the best from across the galaxy. The Dravexian caretakers, the Nethurian mindweavers. None can handle the princes. Unique spirits." "Unique," Lyra snapped, her voice echoing off the vaulted ceilings. She stopped before a massive viewport, gazing out at the swirling nebulae that painted the void in hues of purple and gold. Zerathia was a jewel among worlds, an empire built on ancient pacts and unbreakable alliances, but what good was power if her own bloodline threatened to unravel it? The twins, Alar and Vin, were her legacy, born from a union long lost to the stars. They needed guidance, structure, something no alien had provided. Desperation clawed at her, a feeling unbecoming of a queen who had conquered solar systems. That's when the idea struck, whispered by a lowly scout who'd returned from a raid on the fringes of human space. "Humans," the scout had said, eyes wide with a mix of awe and disbelief. "They are resilient, adaptable. One of their kind survived a black hole skirmish with nothing but wits and a makeshift tool. Perhaps, for the nursery," Lyra had laughed at first, a melodic sound that hid her intrigue. "Humans, those fragile, short-lived beings from that backwater planet called Earth, but desperation bred bold choices." She issued the decree, summon a human caregiver. Not just any, a single father, rumored to possess an unbreakable patience forged in the fires of solitary parenthood. The scouts scoured the colonies, and soon he arrived. He stepped off the shuttle into the opulent chaos of Zerathia's palace, his worn boots echoing on the polished floors that seemed to shift colors underfoot. He was no stranger to strange worlds, as a widower raising his young daughter back on a mining outpost. He'd faced asteroid storms, zero-grav mishaps, and the endless grind of survival. But this was something out of a fever dream. Tall and broad-shouldered, with tousled dark hair and eyes that held the quiet strength of someone who'd stared down loss and kept going, Illy carried a simple duffel bag slung over one shoulder. Inside, a few Earth toys, a holopad with bedtime stories, and the unyielding determination that had kept his family afloat after his wife's passing. The guards eyed him warily, their energy weapons humming softly. "You're the Nanny," one sneered, its mandibles clicking in amusement. Illy flashed an easy smile, the kind that disarmed even the toughest miners. "Call it what you want, I'm here to help with the kids." Led through corridors lined with holographic murals of cosmic battles, Illy felt the weight of alien eyes upon him. Whispers followed, a human in the royal nursery. But he pushed it aside, focusing on the job. He'd taken it for the credits, enough to secure his daughter's future, but deep down, something stirred. Adventure? Purpose? Or just the chance to prove that humans could thrive anywhere? Queen Lyra awaited in the throne room, perched on a seat carved from a fallen comet, her gown draping elegantly over her lithe, inviting form. As Illy entered, she rose, her pointed ears perking slightly. Up close, she was breathtaking, a vision of otherworldly allure that made his pulse quicken despite himself. "You are Illy," she stated, her voice a silken thread that wrapped around him, "the human who claims he can tame what others cannot." Illy met her gaze steadily, noting the subtle curve of her lips, the way her white hair framed her delicate features. "I've raised one on my own, Your Majesty. Kids are kids, no matter the species. Chaos is universal." She arched a brow, a spark of curiosity igniting in her emerald eyes. "We shall see. Fail, and you'll join the 19 before you in exile, if you're lucky." The nursery was a riot of color and sound. Alar and Vin, the twin princes, hovered in anti-grav cribs, their small bodies a mix of humanoid grace and alien appendages, tentacles that wriggled like living vines, eyes that glowed with nascent psychic power. They screeched in unison as Illy approached, a wave of telepathic displeasure washing over him like a headache. "Easy there," Illy murmured, kneeling to their level. He pulled out a simple earth ball from his bag, a red, bouncy sphere. "Wanna play?" The twins paused, intrigued. One tentacle reached out tentatively, batting at the ball. It bounced back, eliciting a giggle, a sound the palace hadn't heard in months. Lyra watched from the doorway, hidden in shadow, her heart stirring with an unfamiliar warmth. This human? He didn't flinch, he engaged. As days blurred into nights under Zarathia's dual suns, Illy wove his magic. He introduced routines, story time with tales of Earth heroes who defied the odds, games that channeled their energy into laughter rather than destruction. The twins' tantrums lessened, their psychic bursts becoming playful probes rather than assaults. Illy's patience was a rock in the storm, unbreakable, drawing from memories of sleepless nights with his daughter, of turning grief into grit. But it wasn't just the children who noticed. Lyra found herself lingering, observing this intruder who moved with quiet confidence. His human form, so different from her people's elegant lines, held a rugged appeal, the way his muscles shifted under his simple shirt, the warmth in his laugh that echoed through the halls. One evening, as the stars wheeled overhead, she approached him in the nursery after the twins had finally drifted to sleep. "You've done what 19 could not," she said softly, her voice laced with wonder. She stepped closer, her gown whispering against the floor, the scent of exotic blooms clinging to her skin. Illy looked up, wiping sweat from his brow. "Just doing what comes natural. Kids need boundaries, but also love. Lots of it." Her eyes lingered on him, a flicker of something deeper, curiosity turning to desire. "And what of you, human, what do you need?" The question hung in the air, charged like the prelude to a cosmic storm. Illy felt a pull, an unexpected connection across the void of species, but he smiled, deflecting with humor. "A good night's sleep would be nice." Lyra laughed, a sound like chiming crystals, and in that moment, the palace felt less like a fortress and more like a place where worlds could collide. Little did they know, this was only the beginning, a spark that would ignite passions, challenges, and revelations in the heart of Zarathia. As the weeks unfolded, Illy's presence became indispensable. The twins adored him, clinging to his legs with their tentacles, demanding more stories of Earth's mythical beasts and brave explorers. "Tell us about the dragons." Alar would chirp, his eyes wide. Illy chuckled, spinning tales that blended fact and fantasy, his voice a soothing rumble that lulled even the most restless spirits. But the real transformation was in Lyra. She began seeking him out beyond duty, late-night discussions in the gardens where bioluminescent flowers bloomed under her touch, sharing whispers of her burdens as queen. Ruling an empire is lonely. She confessed one night, her hand brushing his as they walked. Her touch was electric, sending a shiver through him. "You're not alone anymore," Illy replied, his gaze meeting hers. There was an intensity there, a magnetic draw that defied logic. Humans and Zarathians, worlds apart, yet in her eyes, he saw a reflection of his own losses, his own strength. One fateful evening, as a meteor shower painted the skies, Lyra invited him to her private chambers. The room was a sanctuary of luxury, silken drapes that shifted colors with her mood, a bed vast as a small sea, overlooking the endless stars. "I want to understand you, Illy," she said, her voice husky, her body language inviting as she poured a glowing elixir into crystal goblets. "What makes humans so enduring?" He took the glass, their fingers lingering. The drink warmed him from within, loosening inhibitions. "It's our hearts, I think. We break, but we mend stronger." She stepped closer, her curvaceous form pressing lightly against him, her white hair falling like a veil. The air thickened with anticipation, her small ears flushing with color, a sign of arousal in her kind. Illy's breath caught. This was uncharted territory, a blend of duty and desire that pulled him in like gravity. As their lips met in a tentative kiss, worlds collided, her taste like stardust and spice, his touch grounding her in a way no alien suitor ever had. It was the start of something profound, a romance born in the nursery but destined for the stars. Yet, shadows loomed. Whispers in the court spoke of unrest, advisors jealous of the humans' influence, rival empires sensing weakness. But for now, in the quiet after the kiss, Illy held her, feeling the beat of her alien heart sync with his own. Humanity's grit had tamed more than children. It had awakened a queen's soul. The palace buzzed with newfound harmony, but beneath it simmered tensions that would soon erupt, testing bonds forged in unlikely fires. The palace buzzed with newfound harmony, but beneath it simmered tensions that would soon erupt, testing bonds forged in unlikely fires. Whispers slithered through the corridors like shadows at dusk, carried by advisors whose loyalty to tradition outweighed their devotion to the queen. They saw Ali not as a savior, but as an intruder, a human worming his way into the heart of Zarathia, challenging the old ways with his earthly simplicity. Yet, for now, those murmurs remained hushed, drowned out by the laughter echoing from the nursery, where Alar and Vin chased holographic butterflies that Ali had programmed with a flick of his wrist on a borrowed console. Ali wiped his hands on his trousers, watching the twins with a fond smile. The day had been long, filled with games that blended human ingenuity with alien tech, building forts from force field cushions, telling stories of knights and dragons that morphed into tales of starfaring warriors. His muscles ached, but it was a good ache, the kind that came from purpose. As the dual suns dipped below the horizon, casting the palace in a warm, amber glow, he felt a presence before he heard her footsteps. Lyra entered the room like a breeze through an open window, her gown flowing around her like liquid moonlight, clinging to the curves of her body in ways that made the air feel thicker, heavier. "You've worked wonders again today," she said, her voice a low melody that sent a subtle thrill down his spine. She moved closer, her small, pointed ears twitching ever so slightly, as if attuned to the rhythm of his heartbeat. Up close, her scent enveloped him, a heady mix of blooming night flowers and the faint ozone of distant storms, intoxicating in its otherworldliness. Ali turned to face her, his eyes tracing the elegant line of her neck, the way her white hair cascaded over one shoulder, exposing the pale glow of her skin. They're good kids at heart. Just needed someone to see that. He paused, feeling the pull between them, that unspoken current that had been building since their first shared glance. The kiss from the other night lingered in his memory, a spark that hadn't faded but grown, flickering in the quiet moments. Lyra's emerald eyes held his, a depth in them that spoke of galaxies unexplored. She reached out, her fingers brushing his arm, light as a feather but charged with intent. "And what of us, Illy? What wonders might we discover?" Her touch lingered, tracing a slow path up to his shoulder, her nails, delicate and iridescent, grazing his skin through the thin fabric of his shirt. It was a simple gesture, but it ignited something primal, a heat that spread through him like wildfire across dry plains. He swallowed, his voice rougher than intended. "Your Majesty, Lyra, this is dangerous territory." But even as he said it, he didn't pull away. Instead, his hand rose to cover hers, feeling the warmth of her alien flesh, so soft yet resilient, like silk wrapped around steel. The palace around them seemed to fade, the hum of distant machinery blending into a distant heartbeat. She stepped nearer, her body inches from his, the swell of her curves pressing lightly against his chest. "Danger is what makes life worth living," she whispered, her breath warm against his ear. Her pointed ears brushed his cheek as she leaned in, a subtle invitation that made his pulse race. In the dim light, her gown shifted, revealing the graceful arch of her back, the way it dipped invitingly before rising to meet her hips. Illy's mind raced with images, human and alien entwining, boundaries blurring in the vastness of space. But suspense hung in the air like a veiled threat. From the corner of his eye, Illy caught a flicker, a shadow in the doorway, gone before he could focus. One of the advisors, or just a trick of the light. He pushed the thought aside, drawn back to her. Lyra's hand slid to his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heart. "Humans are so warm," she murmured, her voice laced with curiosity and something deeper, more urgent, like stars trapped in flesh. Illy's fingers tangled in her hair, the strands silky and cool, contrasting with the heat building between them. He pulled her closer, their bodies aligning in a way that felt both inevitable and forbidden. Her lips hovered near his, parted slightly, inviting him to close the distance. The erotic tension coiled tight, a promise of exploration in uncharted realms. What would it be like, he wondered, to lose himself in her, to bridge the gap between worlds with touch and taste? As their lips met again, slower this time, more deliberate, the kiss deepened. Lyra's tongue traced his, tentative at first, then bold, exploring the differences with a hunger that surprised him. Her body molded to his, her gowned form yielding yet demanding, the fabric thin enough to feel the contours beneath. Illy's hands roamed her back, tracing the elegant curve of her spine, down to the flare of her hips, pulling her against him. A soft moan escaped her, vibrating through him, stirring desires he'd long kept buried since his wife's passing. The room seemed to pulse with their rhythm, the air shimmering as if the palace itself responded to their connection. Lyra's small ears flushed deeper, a telltale sign of her arousal, and she pressed harder, her thigh slipping between his in a move that was both graceful and insistent. Illy groaned softly, his body responding instinctively, the friction sending sparks through his veins. It was erotic in its purity, a dance of discovery, where every touch unveiled new sensations. Her skin, so pale and luminous, warmed under his palms, as if drawing heat from him, fueling a fire that could consume them both. Yet, amid the haze of desire, that earlier shadow nagged at him. Was someone watching? The court was full of eyes, and a human consorting with the queen could ignite scandals or worse. He broke the kiss reluctantly, his forehead resting against hers, breaths mingling. "We have to be careful," he whispered, his voice husky with restraint. Lyra's eyes gleamed with mischief and want. "Careful is for the weak, but perhaps a little discretion." She pulled back slightly, her fingers trailing down his arm, leaving a trail of goosebumps. "Meet me in the starlit atrium tonight, after the moon's rise. There, we can explore without prying eyes." Illy nodded, his mind swirling with anticipation and a thread of unease. The atrium, a secluded garden high in the palace towers, where vines glowed with inner light and waterfalls cascaded into infinity pools. It sounded perfect, yet the suspense built like a gathering storm. What if this was a trap, or a test, or worse? What if his growing feelings for her blinded him to real dangers lurking in Zarathia's shadows? As she slipped away, her gown whispering promises, Illy returned to the twins, tucking them in with stories of human heroes who conquered not just enemies, but hearts. But his thoughts lingered on her, the way her body felt against his, the erotic pull that made the stars seem closer. Humanity's grit had brought him here, but it was desire that might keep him, or undo him. The hours ticked by slowly, each one heightening the tension. Illy busied himself with palace duties, helping the staff recalibrate a malfunctioning gravelift, his human knack for improvisation earning grudging respect from the engineers. "You humans and your duct tape mentality." One chuckled, but Illy saw the admiration. It was HFY in action, proving that adaptability trumped tech any day. As night fell, the dual moons cast a silvery glow over Zarathia, turning the palace into a dreamscape. Illy made his way to the atrium, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and wariness. The path wound through dimly lit halls, where holographic guardians flickered like ghosts. He paused at one point, hearing footsteps echo behind him, soft, deliberate. Turning, he saw nothing but empty corridors. Paranoia, or a real pursuer? The atrium unfolded before him like a hidden paradise. Vines heavy with luminous blossoms climbed crystal walls, and the air hummed with the gentle cascade of water. In the center, Lyra waited, her gown discarded for something simpler, a sheer robe that clung to her form like mist, accentuating her G-curves, her white hair loose and flowing. She turned as he approached, her eyes darkening with desire. "You came," she said, her voice a sultry invitation. "How could I not?" Illy replied, closing the distance. Their embrace was immediate, fervent, hands exploring with an urgency born of stolen moments. Her skin was silk under his touch, her body arching into him as he kissed her neck, tasting the salt of her alien essence. Lyra's fingers deftly unfastened his shirt, tracing the lines of his chest, marveling at the human contours, muscles honed from labor, scars from past battles that told stories of survival. The erotic dance unfolded slowly, suspense weaving through every caress. Illy lifted her effortlessly, her legs wrapping around him, the robe parting to reveal more of her alluring form. They sank onto a bed of soft moss by the pool, the water's reflection dancing on her pale skin. Her small ears quivered as his lips trailed lower, eliciting gasps that echoed softly in the night. It was a symphony of sensation, her tentacles, usually hidden, emerging subtly to entwine with his arms, adding an exotic layer to their intimacy. But even here, the tension persisted. A rustle in the vines made Illy freeze, his senses on alert. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, his body still pressed to hers. Lyra's eyes widened, but she pulled him back down. "Just the wind, my love, don't stop." He hesitated, the erotic haze clashing with instinct, yet her touch was persuasive, her body a temptation he couldn't resist. As they continued, lost in each other, the night deepened, secrets and desires intertwining like the vines above. Little did Illy know, the shadow from earlier watched from afar, a communicator humming softly in its grasp. The tensions simmering beneath the harmony were about to boil over, but for now, in this stolen interlude, passion reigned supreme, binding human and queen in a web of suspense and ecstasy. Little did Illy know, the shadow from earlier watched from afar, a communicator humming softly in its grasp. The tensions simmering beneath the harmony were about to boil over, but for now, in this stolen interlude, passion reigned supreme, binding human and queen in a web of suspense and ecstasy. As their bodies moved in rhythmic harmony under the moonlit vines, Illy felt a surge of something profound, a connection that transcended the physical, weaving their souls into a tapestry of shared vulnerability. Lyra's gasps filled the atrium, her pale skin flushing with an inner glow that mirrored the bioluminescent flowers around them, and for a fleeting moment, the universe narrowed to just the two of them, human resilience meeting alien grace in a dance as old as the stars. But the night, like all secrets, couldn't hold forever. A sharp crack echoed through the air, slicing the serenity like a blade through silk. Illy bolted upright, his instincts kicking in from years on the mining frontiers, where danger lurked in every shadow. Lyra's eyes widened in alarm, her small pointed ears flattening against her head as she clutched the sheer robe to her chest. "What was that?" she whispered, her voice trembling not with fear, but with the raw edge of interrupted intimacy. Illy scanned the atrium, his heart thundering. The vines rustled unnaturally, and then movement. A figure emerged from the foliage, cloaked in darkness, its form hulking and armored, energy rifle glinting under the moonlight. Not one of the palace guards, this was an intruder, scales rippling across its skin like those of the rival Dravex clan, sworn enemies of Zarathia. "Assassin!" Illy growled, shoving Lyra behind him as he grabbed a nearby vine, yanking it free to use as an improvised weapon. The thrill of adrenaline coursed through him, turning the erotic haze into a sharpened focus. The assassin lunged, its weapon humming to life with a deadly blue arc. "The queen falls tonight," it hissed in a guttural tongue, translated instantly by Illy's implanted comm device. Lyra cried out, summoning her psychic defenses, a shimmering barrier that flared around them, but the intruder fired, the bolt cracking against the shield and sending sparks flying. The force knocked her back, her robe tearing slightly, exposing the vulnerable curve of her shoulder. Illy didn't hesitate, he charged, human grit fueling his every step. He dodged a second shot, the energy singeing the air inches from his ear, and swung the vine like a whip, entangling the assassin's arm. The fight erupted in a whirlwind of motion, dramatic and unrelenting. The assassin was twice Illy's size, its tentacles, thicker and more vicious than the twins, lashing out to ensnare him. One wrapped around his leg, yanking him off balance, but Illy twisted mid-fall, drawing on memories of zero-grav brawls back on the outpost. He grabbed a loose stone from the pool's edge and hurled it with pinpoint accuracy, cracking the intruder's visor. Glass shattered, revealing glowing red eyes filled with rage. "Pathetic human," it snarled, shaking off the blow and advancing. Lyra, recovering, channeled her power, her white hair lifting as if caught in an invisible wind. She hurled a psychic blast, slamming the assassin against the crystal wall, vines cracking under the impact. But the intruder was resilient. Engineered for such assaults, it roared back, firing wildly. Illy rolled aside, the bolt exploding a nearby fountain into a spray of water that drenched them all. Soaked and breathless, he spotted a fallen branch, sharpened by some gardener's tool, and seized it like a spear. The thrill built, each heartbeat pounding like a drum in a cosmic symphony. Curiosity gnawing at him. Who sent this killer? Was it tied to the court's whispers? As the assassin recovered, charging with claws extended, Illy feinted left, then struck right, driving the branch into a gap in its armor. The creature howled, blood viscous and green spilling onto the moss. But it wasn't done. With a surprising twist, it activated a hidden device, cloaking itself in a shimmer of invisibility. Illy's eyes darted, thrilling tension coiling in his gut. "Lyra, stay back." He shouted, but she refused, her hands glowing as she probed the air with her mind, trying to sense the hidden foe. The atrium transformed into a battlefield of shadows and light, the waterfalls now a roaring backdrop to the chaos. Illy listened, his human senses attuned to the subtle, a drip of blood here, a rustle there. Curiosity burned. How had it breached the palace? Then, a whisper of air behind him. He spun, instinct screaming, and tackled the invisible form just as it decloaked, claws inches from Lyra's throat. They tumbled into the pool, water churning around them in a dramatic splash. Underwater, the world muffled, bubbles rising like frantic stars. Illy grappled, his lungs burning, feeling the assassin's strength wane from the wound. With a surge of human determination, he pinned it down, forcing its head under until it went limp. Gasping, he surfaced, dragging the body to the edge. Lyra rushed to him, her robe clinging transparently to her curves, worry etching her beautiful features. Illy, you saved me, she breathed, pulling him into an embrace that mixed relief with lingering passion. But as guards finally burst in, alerted by the commotion, the scene shifted to one of urgent drama. The assassin's communicator, dropped in the fray, crackled to life with a voice. Report status, has the queen been eliminated? Illy snatched it, his mind racing with thrilling possibilities. Who is this? He demanded, but the line went dead. Lyra's advisors arrived, their faces a mask of feigned shock. One, the same shadowy figure from earlier. Illy's eyes narrowed. Curiosity peaking, had betrayal come from within? The night spiraled into a climax of revelations. Interrogations began in the throne room, the assassin's body laid out like a trophy. Lyra, regal once more in a hastily donned gown, interrogated her court with psychic probes, her small ears alert to lies. Illy stood by her side, water still dripping from his clothes, his presence a thrilling anchor in the storm. This wasn't random, he said, voice steady. When inside helped it get in. The room tensed, dramatic silence broken by a surprising confession. Advisor Kale, a sly figure with scaled features, cracked under Lyra's mental gaze. It was the Orvian faction, he admitted, sweat beading on his brow. They promised power if I aided them. But there's more. The twins, they're the key. The Dravex believe their psychic potential could topple empires. Illy's blood ran cold, curiosity turning to dread. The twins. As guards dragged Kale away, alarms blared, another breach. Thrilling chaos ensued as reports flooded in, a fleet of Dravex ships approaching Zarathia's orbit, cloaked until now. They're coming for the children, Lyra whispered, her hand finding Illy's, squeezing with desperate strength. The palace mobilized, a dramatic surge of activity. Illy, thrust into the heart of it, raced to the nursery. Ilar and Vin stirred, their innocent eyes wide with fear as psychic waves from the impending invasion rippled through. Papa Illy? Vin whimpered, tentacles reaching out. I'm here, Illy assured, scooping them up. But outside, the skies darkened with enemy vessels, lasers piercing the night like falling stars. Lyra joined him, her gown billowing as she activated defenses, shields flaring around the palace. We fight together, she declared, her voice dramatic and resolute. The battle ignited, thrilling in its scale. Dravex fighters swarmed, blasting at the crystal domes. Illy, drawing on his outpost experience, jury-rigged a console to overload enemy signals, his fingers flying with human ingenuity. HFY, he muttered under his breath, a mantra of defiance. Explosions rocked the structure, debris raining down in a curious mix of beauty and destruction, shards glittering like diamonds. In a surprising twist, the twins' powers awakened fully, triggered by the threat. Ilar's tentacles glowed, projecting a barrier that deflected a direct hit, while Vin's telepathy linked minds across the palace, coordinating defenses with eerie precision. There, evolving, Lyra gasped, eyes wide with wonder and fear. Illy marveled, the climax building to a fever pitch. As a massive Dravex warship bore down, he spotted a vulnerability, an exposed core from his signal jam. Target that, he shouted into the comms. Lyra's forces complied, lasers converging in a dramatic blaze. The ship erupted in a fireball, debris scattering like fireworks, turning the tide. But the thrill wasn't over. From the wreckage, a pod jettisoned, crashing into the palace grounds. Out stepped the Dravex leader, a colossal being with armored plates and eyes like burning coals. The heirs are mine, it bellowed, advancing with ground-shaking steps. Illy handed the twins to guards, grabbing a fallen energy rifle. Not on my watch. The confrontation was personal now, dramatic tension peaking as he faced the giant. Lyra joined, her psychic blasts weakening its armor. The leader swung a massive claw, Illy dodging with agile grace, firing point-blank into joints. Sparks flew, the air electric with energy. In a curious revelation, the leader paused, scanning Illy. A human, here. It laughed, a rumbling thunder. Your kind are vermin, yet you stand. Illy smirked, surprising even himself with his calm. That's what makes us dangerous. With Lyra's help, he exploited a weak spot, her power amplifying his shot. The leader crumpled, defeated. As silence fell, the remaining fleet retreated, Zarathia saved. Lyra turned to Illy, tears in her eyes, the dramatic high-giving way to profound gratitude. You didn't just tame my children, you saved my world. But amid the victory, a surprising undercurrent lingered, whispers of more traitors, hidden agendas. Illy felt it, a thrilling curiosity about what lay ahead. The bonds forged in fire were stronger, but the stars held more secrets, ready to unfold. But amid the victory, a surprising undercurrent lingered, whispers of more traitors, hidden agendas. Illy felt it, a thrilling curiosity about what lay ahead. The bonds forged in fire were stronger, but the stars held more secrets, ready to unfold. As the adrenaline ebbed from the battle's frenzy, the palace settled into an uneasy calm, like the eye of a cosmic hurricane. Guards patrolled the shattered grounds, repairing breached domes with humming drones, while medics tended to the wounded. Illy, still clad in his sodden clothes that clung uncomfortably like a second skin, found himself swept into the whirlwind of post-battle protocols. Lyra, ever the poised ruler, issued commands with a voice that brooked no argument, her white hair disheveled yet somehow enhancing her regal allure, her gown torn in places that revealed glimpses of her pale, curvaceous form beneath. Illy, come, she said, extending a hand as they moved toward the council chambers. Her touch was warm, lingering a fraction too long, a silent reminder of their intimate moments before the chaos erupted. But as they walked, flanked by a phalanx of advisors who shot sidelong glances at the human interloper, Illy couldn't shake the drama building like static in the air. Whispers followed them, subtle at first, then bolder. The human, fighting like a demon, one murmured, but what if he's part of it, a spy in Nanny's clothing? Illy stifled a chuckle at the absurdity, but the awkwardness hit him like a misfired laser. Here he was, a single dad from a dusty outpost, now hailed as a hero while suspicions swirled. They entered the chambers, a vast room with holographic maps flickering across the walls, displaying the retreating Dravex fleet like fleeing shadows. Lyra took her throne, pulling Illy to stand beside her, a position usually reserved for consorts or high lords. The advisors exchanged uneasy looks, their scaled faces twitching. One, a wiry female named Tiva with eyes like polished obsidian, cleared her throat. "Your Majesty, while we owe this, human our gratitude, perhaps we should discuss the security breach in private. Without outsiders." Outsider, the word hung heavy, heightening the drama as Lyra's small pointed ears flushed with irritation. "Illy is no outsider," she snapped, her hand tightening on his arm possessively. "He saved us all. If not for him, we'd be Dravex fodder." Illy shifted uncomfortably, feeling the weight of alien stares. It was awkward, standing there like a trophy, his wet shirt dripping onto the pristine floor with soft plops that echoed in the tense silence. To lighten the mood, he quipped, "Hey, if I'm an outsider, does that mean I get a free pass on palace etiquette? Because I could really use a towel right now. I'm starting a puddle that's about to declare independence." A ripple of hesitant laughter broke through the room, even from Tiva, who hid a smirk behind her hand. Lyra's lips curved in amusement, her emerald eyes sparkling with a mix of affection and relief. But the humor was short-lived. The drama escalated as another advisor, Rixa, a burly male with tentacles coiling nervously, projected an intercepted transmission. "We found this on the leader's pod," he rumbled. The holo flickered to life, revealing a grainy image of a Dravex warlord sneering. "The human is the key. Turn him or eliminate him. He weakens the queen's resolve." The room erupted in murmurs, eyes turning to Illy with renewed suspicion. His stomach twisted, awkward didn't begin to cover it. "Me, the key," he echoed, forcing a laugh that came out more like a bark. "Last I checked, I'm just the guy who reads bedtime stories and dodges tantrums. If I'm weakening anyone, it's from my terrible singing voice during lullabies." The quip drew a few chuckles, but the underlying drama pulsed stronger, like a heartbeat in the void. Lyra stood, her curvaceous silhouette commanding attention, the torn gown adding an unintended vulnerability that made Illy's pulse quicken despite the tension. "Enough," she declared. "Illy is under my protection. Any who question him questions me." Yet, as the meeting dragged on, dissecting battle logs and traitor lists, awkward situations piled up like debris from the fight, Illy, unfamiliar with Zarathian customs, accidentally interrupted a sacred pause for psychic reflection by asking, "So, do you guys have coffee here, or is that just an Earth thing to keep from nodding off during these marathons?" The advisors stared, horrified, as if he'd suggested dancing on the throne. Lyra bit her lip to suppress a giggle, her hand brushing his under the table, a secretive touch that sent a warm spark through him, contrasting the room's chill. The drama heightened further when scouts reported a lingering Dravex scout ship hiding in the asteroid belt, potentially carrying reinforcements or spies. "We must strike first," Tiva urged, her voice rising, but Illy, drawing on his mining expertise, interjected, "Wait, those belts are tricky. One wrong move, and you're playing pinball with rocks the size of moons. Let me rig a drone with human sensors. We can sniff them out without a full assault." His suggestion was met with skepticism, but Lyra nodded, her faith in him unwavering. As preparations began, an awkward mishap unfolded while calibrating the drone in a side chamber, Illy bumped into a ceremonial artifact, a glowing orb that activated on contact, projecting holographic memories of Zarathian history. Suddenly, the room filled with images of ancient queens in, compromising positions with their consorts, educational yet decidedly intimate. Illy's face burned as the projections played out, Lyra entering just in time to see a particularly steamy scene. "Oh, stars," he muttered, fumbling to shut it off. "I swear, I was just trying to plug in the drone, not unlock the Royal Romance archives." Lyra laughed outright, a melodic sound that eased the embarrassment, her body leaning close as she helped deactivate it. "Consider it a cultural lesson," she teased, her breath warm against his ear, turning the awkward blunder into a moment of shared humor. But beneath it, drama simmered. The orb's activation had broadcast a signal, potentially alerting the hidden ship. As night deepened, the palace on high alert, Illy and Lyra stole a brief respite in the repaired atrium. The vines, now mended, glowed softly, but the air crackled with unresolved tension. "You handled that meeting like a pro," she said, her fingers tracing his jaw, the touch igniting memories of their earlier passion. Yet awkwardness intruded when the twins, awakened by the earlier alarms, toddled in via a secret passage, their tentacles waving. "Papa Illy, Mama Queen, boom boom outside." Ilar chirped, climbing onto Illy's lap while Vin latched onto Lyra. Illy froze, the domestic scene hilariously out of place amid interstellar intrigue. Kids, this isn't exactly playtime," he said, but his voice softened, humor bubbling up. "Though if we're doing family hour, maybe skip the assassination attempts next time." Lyra's eyes widened in surprise, then warmed with affection. The drama of their roles, queen and nanny, lovers and saviors, colliding in this tender, awkward tableau. But the moment shattered as alarms blared again. The scout ship had moved, launching probes toward the palace. Drama surged as Illy scooped up the twins, racing with Lyra to the command center. "They're probing our defenses," Rixa reported, holograms showing tiny darts weaving through the shields. Illy's mind raced, heightening the stakes. "It's a faint look, they're targeting the nursery wing." In a thrilling dash, he led a team to intercept. Awkward humor surfacing when he tripped over a repair bot, sprawling comically but rolling to his feet with a grin. Note to self, watch the robots, they're sneakier than assassins. The interception unfolded dramatically. Illy, armed with a modified rifle, blasted the probes midair, sparks raining like fireworks. One probe evaded, crashing into a storage room and releasing a swarm of nanobots that began sabotaging systems. Chaos ensued, lights flickering, gravity fluctuating in awkward bursts that sent advisors floating helplessly. Illy laughed despite the peril, grabbing a flailing Tiva and anchoring her. "Hang on, it's like a bad carnival ride." Lyra, using her psychic abilities, contained the swarm, her form glowing ethereally, but not before the bots triggered a lockdown, trapping them all in the chamber. In this confined space, drama peaked with awkward revelations. As they worked to override the lock, conversations turned personal. Rixa confessed his initial distrust. "I thought you were a fool, human, but you fight like one of our legends." Illy quipped back, "Thanks, I think. Legends or lunatics, same difference where I come from." Lyra, pressed close in the tight quarters, whispered to Illy, "This lockdown, it's almost romantic, if not for the impending doom." Her curvaceous body against his stirred desires, but with the twins giggling nearby and advisors watching, the situation teetered on hilarious discomfort. Finally, Illy hacked the system with a human workaround, rerouting power through his comm device in a jury-rigged mess that sparked and hummed. There, old Earth trick, when in doubt, reboot. The doors hissed open, freedom restored. But the drama lingered. The probes had transmitted data back, revealing Zarathia's vulnerabilities. As they regrouped, Illy felt the weight of it all, the awkward position of being the human hero in an alien court, the humor in his missteps, and the deepening bond with Lyra that promised more trials ahead. The night wore on, tensions high, but laced with moments of levity that bound them closer. Illy tucked the twins back in, spinning a humorous tale of the great probe chase to ease their fears, while Lyra watched, her heart swelling, yet shadows of betrayal loomed larger, awkward alliances forming as former skeptics rallied around him. The stars outside twinkled mockingly, hiding whatever surprises they held next, ready to test this unlikely family in ways that would blend drama, awkwardness, and humor into an unbreakable forge. Yet, as they stepped back into the palace's flow, a new message arrived on Lyra's console, a cryptic transmission from an unknown ally, suggesting deeper conspiracies that could shatter everything they'd built. The console chimed softly in the early morning light, its holographic display flickering to life with an encrypted signal that bypassed standard security protocols. Lyra paused mid-stride, her gown still slightly askew from their hurried dressing, her small pointed ears perking up in alert curiosity. "This isn't from our networks," she murmured, her voice laced with a mix of intrigue and caution as she activated the message. Illy leaned in beside her, his arm brushing hers in a familiar way that grounded them both, the scent of their shared night still lingering faintly in the air. The transmission unfolded as a shadowy figure materialized in the holo, cloaked and distorted, voice modulated to a deep, echoing timbre. "Queen Lyra, the Dravex attack was but a veil. The true threat lies within your bloodline. Seek the hidden archives beneath the throne. Trust no one, not even the human at your side." The message cut off abruptly, leaving a static afterimage that dissolved like smoke. Illy's brow furrowed, a chill running down his spine despite the warmth of the rising suns. "Not even me, that's ominous." He tried to inject a note of his usual humor, but it fell flat, the words hanging heavy in the corridor. Lyra's emerald eyes met his, searching for reassurance, but beneath her composed facade, doubt flickered, a seed planted by the anonymous warning. The palace around them buzzed with morning activity, guards saluting as they passed, unaware of the storm brewing in her mind. Yet the transmission's words gnawed at her. Who could have sent it? An ally or a manipulator sowing discord? Determined to uncover the truth, they diverted to the throne room, the heart of Zarathia's power. The vast chamber was empty at this hour, its comet-carved throne gleaming under shafts of light piercing the crystal dome. Lyra approached it with purposeful strides, her curvaceous form moving with the grace of someone born to rule, while Illy followed, his human instincts on high alert for traps or hidden observers. "The archives," she explained softly, placing her hand on a concealed panel that scanned her psychic signature. With a low rumble, the floor beneath the throne parted, revealing a spiral staircase descending into shadows lit by faint, pulsing runes. As they descended, the air grew cooler, thicker with the dust of forgotten ages. Illy's hand rested lightly on her back, a protective gesture that stirred memories of their intimacy, but now laced with tension. The stairs opened into a cavernous vault, walls lined with ancient data crystals humming with stored knowledge, histories of Zarathia, pacts with distant worlds, and secrets buried for generations. Lyra activated a central console, her fingers dancing over holographic keys, pulling up files marked with royal seals. "These hold the lineage records," she said, her voice echoing slightly. "If there's a threat in my bloodline, it'll be here." Illy watched over her shoulder, his mind racing. The files scrolled by genealogies, psychic evolutions, alliances forged through unions. Then, one entry caught her eye, a sealed document labeled Project Nexus. With a hesitant breath, she unlocked it, and the vault filled with projections, diagrams of genetic experiments, timelines of covert operations. Lyra's face paled as she read, her small ears flattening in shock. This can't be. The records revealed a long-buried truth. Her late consort, the father of the twins, hadn't died in a diplomatic accident as she'd been told. He'd been part of a faction experimenting with hybrid genetics, blending Zarathian psychic abilities with Dravex aggression to create ultimate warriors. The twins, they were the result, engineered heirs with unstable powers that could either unite empires or destroy them. But the powerful twist came like a bolt from the void. As Lyra delved deeper, a subfile activated automatically, voice-locked to her alone. It was her consort's final message, his image appearing gaunt and desperate. "Lyra, if you're seeing this, the experiment failed. The twins' powers are tied to a human catalyst. Earth DNA was the stabilizer we stole from fringe colonies. Without it, they'll destabilize, unraveling reality itself." Illy froze, the words hitting him like a physical blow. Human DNA? His mind reeled his arrival, the job as nanny. It all clicked into a horrifying pattern. Lyra turned to him slowly, her eyes wide with a mix of betrayal and dawning horror. "Illy, your blood. The scouts who brought you, they weren't random. You were chosen because your genetic profile matched the stabilizer." The surprise deepened as the file continued. Illy wasn't just any human. Scans from his arrival showed anomalies, traces of ancient Zarathian markers in his lineage, remnants from long-forgotten Earth abductions. He was a descendant of hybrids, unknowingly carrying the key to the twins' stability. "You're part of us," Lyra whispered, stepping back as if seeing him anew. Illy's world tilted, the revelation a gut punch that took his breath away. "What? That can't be right. I'm just a guy from the outposts, widower, dad, nothing special. But the projections didn't lie, biometric matches flashed, confirming his unwitting role in the grand scheme. The awkward alliances, the battles, even their romance, it all felt manipulated now, a cosmic setup. Yet, as the shock settled, anger flared in him. Orchestrated this? The advisors, your consort's faction? Before Lyra could respond, the vault trembled, alarms blaring from above. Holograms shifted to security feeds, a group of cloaked figures, remnants of the old faction, storming the palace, led by none other than advisor Tiva, her obsidian eyes cold with ambition. They know we've found it, Lyra gasped, grabbing a data crystal and shoving it into her gown. They're coming for the twins and for you. The twist propelled them into action, hearts pounding with the surprise's aftershocks. Illy, reeling from his heritage, grabbed a nearby energy staff from the archives, a relic weapon that hummed to life in his hands, responding to his hybrid blood. Then we fight, he said, voice steady despite the turmoil. They raced up the stairs, the palace shaking from internal explosions as traitors breached inner defenses. Guards loyal to Lyra clashed with the invaders in the halls, psychic blasts meeting laser fire in a chaotic symphony. Emerging into the throne room, they found Tiva waiting, flanked by her minions. Queen, she sneered, you were never meant to rule alone. The hybrids will serve the true vision, a Zarathia dominant with Dravex might. Her gaze shifted to Illy. And you, human abomination, your blood will complete the ritual. The battle ignited with furious intensity, Illy's staff crackling as he deflected blasts, his newfound connection to the weapon making it an extension of his will. Lyra unleashed psychic waves, shattering enemy shields, her curvaceous form a blur of lethal elegance. But the surprise deepened. As Illy fought, flashes of latent abilities surfaced, telepathic glimpses, enhanced reflexes unlocked by the revelation. He disarmed a foe with a thought, surprising even himself. What the? He muttered, dodging a strike. Tiva laughed maniacally. Yes, embrace it, you're the bridge we needed. She lunged at Lyra, tentacles extending like whips, but Illy intervened, his staff clashing with hers in a shower of sparks. The fight spilled into the corridors, dramatic pursuits through collapsing sections, the palace groaning under the strain. They reached the nursery just in time. The twins, sensing the danger, had erected a barrier, their eyes glowing with untapped power. In a heart-stopping moment, Tiva revealed her ace, a device to amplify the twins' instability, threatening to trigger a psychic meltdown. Surrender the human or watch your legacy implode. Lyra hesitated, her love for Illy clashing with maternal instinct, but Illy, in a surprising act of self-sacrifice, stepped forward. Take me, but leave them. The tension peaked, but Lyra refused, blasting the device from Tiva's grasp. Together, they overwhelmed her, Illy's hybrid strength sealing the victory as he pinned her down. Guards swarmed in, securing the traitors. As calm returned, the palace battered but standing, Lyra pulled Illy close. You're not an abomination, you're my miracle. The twist had reshaped everything, surprising them with truths that bound them tighter, yet opened doors to new mysteries in the stars. But as they caught their breath, a final hologram from the data crystal activated, coordinates to a hidden Earth outpost, hinting at more hybrids like Illy. The adventure was far from over, surprises lurking in the void, ready to challenge their love and legacy anew. But as they caught their breath, a final hologram from the data crystal activated, coordinates to a hidden Earth outpost, hinting at more hybrids like Illy. The adventure was far from over, surprises lurking in the void, ready to challenge their love and legacy anew. Lyra stared at the glowing display, her pale skin illuminated by the ethereal blue light, her small pointed ears still flushed from the exertion of the battle. She reached out, tracing the coordinates with a trembling finger, as if touching them could unravel the mysteries they held. An Earth outpost, hidden from even our scouts. If there are others like you, Illy, it changes everything. Your heritage isn't just a footnote, it's a bridge between our worlds. Illy nodded, his mind still spinning from the revelations that had upended his sense of self. He was no longer just a single dad scraping by on the edges of human space. He carried the echoes of Zarathian blood, a legacy that explained the inexplicable pulls he'd felt since arriving, the way the palace tech responded to him, the faint psychic whispers in his dreams. But as he wrapped an arm around Lyra's waist, pulling her close amid the debris-strewn throne room, a quiet resolve settled over him. Then we go there, together. If there are more hybrids, they could be allies or threats, but we can't ignore this. The guards, still securing the bound traitors including Tiva, who glared with unyielding defiance, began clearing the room. Lyra issued swift orders, her voice regaining its queenly authority, dispatching repair teams and summoning a stealth shuttle for their journey. The twins, safe in the nursery under enhanced protections, would remain guarded by loyalists while they pursued this lead. As preparations hummed around them, Illy and Lyra shared a lingering glance, the air between them charged with the intimacy of survivors, lovers who had faced fire and emerged stronger. Her curvaceous form leaned into him briefly, a silent promise that whatever awaited, their bond would endure. Hours later, aboard the sleek Zarathian vessel slipping through hyperspace like a shadow among stars, they found a moment of respite in the captain's quarters. The ship was a marvel of alien engineering, smooth, organic curves in its design, with view screens showing the swirling vortex of faster-than-light travel. Lyra shed her battle-torn gown for a simple robe that hugged her figure, its fabric shimmering faintly, while he changed into a fitted jumpsuit that accentuated his broad shoulders. They sat together on a plush divan, poring over the data crystal's files, piecing together fragments of the old experiments. "Your ancestors, taken centuries ago," Lyra mused, her hand resting on his thigh, a comforting warmth. Integrated into human lines to hide the hybrids, its genius in a twisted way. Illy covered her hand with his, feeling the subtle pulse of her energy, a reminder of how their worlds intertwined. Twisted is right, but if this outpost holds answers, maybe I can finally understand why I survived the things I did, losing my wife, raising my daughter alone. Maybe it's all connected. Their conversation drifted into softer territories, memories shared under the hum of the engines, drawing them closer until kisses replaced words, a gentle reaffirmation of their passion amid the uncertainty. The journey passed in a blur of strategy sessions and stolen tenderness, the ship's AI navigating toward the coordinates, a forgotten asteroid cluster on the fringes of human territory, masked by natural interference. As they emerged from hyperspace, the outpost came into view, a sprawling complex burrowed into a massive rock, its lights flickering like distant fireflies, powered by jury-rigged solar arrays and human ingenuity. No hails responded to their approach. It seemed abandoned, or perhaps dormant. Illy piloted the shuttle in manually, his outpost experience guiding them to a docking bay overgrown with makeshift repairs, rusted panels, and exposed wiring that screamed of desperate survival. They disembarked into the dim corridors, energy weapons at the ready, the air stale with the scent of recycled oxygen and faint metallic tang. Lyra's small ears twitched at every creak, her psychic senses probing ahead, while Illy led with the confidence of someone who'd navigated derelict stations before. "Stay close," he whispered, his hand brushing hers. Graffiti lined the walls, human scrawls of warnings and hopes, mixed with alien symbols that matched Zarathian script. This place has history. Feels like a graveyard of secrets. Deeper in, they found the central chamber, a lab frozen in time, consoles dusty but intact, holographic logs waiting to be awakened. Lyra activated one with her touch, and a figure materialized, an elderly human woman, her face lined with age but eyes sharp as lasers. "If you're here, you carry the mark." The recording began, her voice crackling. "We are the echoes, the descendants of those taken by the stars. Zarathian blood flows in us, granting gifts and curses, but beware, the project wasn't just for warriors, it was for control." As the log played, detailing abductions and integrations, Illy felt a chill. The woman spoke of a master key, a genetic override hidden in the primary hybrid line, capable of commanding psychic forces across galaxies. Lyra's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. This could explain the twins' instability. "If you're the key..." But before she could finish, the log dropped its bombshell. The Queen's line was the origin. Lyra's ancestors initiated the hybrids to expand their empire, using humans as vessels. But the true twist: we rebelled, and the catalyst, not just any human, the one who bears the full mark, will awaken the sleeper agent within the Queen herself. Illy turned to Lyra, confusion knitting his brow. "Sleeper agent, what does that mean?" But as the words hung in the air, Lyra's eyes glazed over, her body stiffening like a puppet on strings. Her small pointed ears flattened, and a low hum emanated from her, psychic energy crackling uncontrollably. "Illy, something's wrong," she gasped, clutching her head. Then, in a voice not entirely her own, layered with an ancient, mechanical undertone, she spoke. "Protocol activated. Primary directive: assimilate the hybrid, secure the empire." The powerful twist hit Illy like a supernova. Lyra, or whatever controlled her now, lunged at him, her hands glowing with psychic force. tentacles emerging from hidden seams in her robe, wrapping around his arms with surprising strength. "No, Lyra, fight it!" he shouted, dodging a blast that shattered a console behind him. This wasn't her. The experiments had embedded a failsafe in her lineage. A dormant program triggered by proximity to the master key. Him. All this time, their romance, the battles, his role as nanny, it had been drawing him closer, unwittingly activating the ancient control mechanism, designed to turn the queen into a puppet for the original conspirators. Heart pounding, Ellie scrambled back, the outpost's alarms blaring as systems awoke from dormancy. Lyra's eyes flickered between her own emerald gaze and a cold, glowing void, tears streaming down her pale cheeks. "I can't stop," she whispered through gritted teeth, her curvaceous body moving with lethal grace, psychic waves pushing him against the wall. The surprise deepened his resolve. This was no betrayal of love, but a curse woven into her very being. He grabbed a nearby relic, a stasis cuff from the lab, and circled her, using his newfound hybrid reflexes to evade her attacks. The chamber became a battlefield of emotions and energy, sparks flying as her blasts met improvised shields Ellie rigged from console debris. "Remember us," he pleaded, ducking under a tentacle swipe. "The twins, the atrium, everything we've built." Flashes of their intimacy pierced the chaos, her laughter, her touch, the way she'd melted into him. It fueled him, human grit clashing with alien programming. In a desperate move, he tackled her, the cuff snapping around her wrist. It hummed to life, dampening her powers, and she collapsed into his arms, the glow fading from her eyes. "Illy, what happened?" she murmured, disoriented, her body trembling against his. He held her tight, the twist's aftershock reverberating through him. The hologram continued, revealing the full horror. The original Zarathian rulers had engineered the hybrids not for alliance, but domination, planting sleeper codes in their own descendants to ensure loyalty. Illy's arrival had triggered it, but his love might be the key to breaking it. As defenses activated around the outpost, automated drones whirring to life. Drawn by the disturbance, Illy realized the adventure had just plunged into darker depths. They weren't just fighting external enemies. The greatest threat was buried within, a surprise that could tear them apart or forge them unbreakable. With Lyra recovering in his embrace, they fled the lab, the drones pursuing in a thrilling chase through twisting corridors. Illy blasted a path, his staff weapon, retrieved from the ship, crackling with hybrid-amplified energy. "We end this curse," he vowed, helping her aboard the shuttle as explosions rocked the asteroid. Hyperspace engulfed them once more, but the twist lingered like a shadow. If the code was in her, could it spread to the twins? And who else among Zarathia's elite carried it? The stars blurred by, hiding answers, but Illy's determination burned bright, HFY spirit rising to conquer not just foes, but the very fabric of fate. Back on course to Zarathia, Lyra clung to him, her head on his shoulder, vulnerability etching her features. "I almost lost myself, to you." The irony twisted like a knife, but it drew them closer, their touches now laced with urgency, a need to reaffirm control over their destinies. As the ship hurtled home, they delved into the crystal's data for a cure, minds and hearts entwined. Yet, a final scan revealed another layer. The outpost wasn't abandoned, it had sent a signal upon their departure, alerting unknown forces. Surprises cascaded, the void whispering of greater conspiracies, testing their love in ways unimaginable. The journey home stretched, filled with tense planning and moments of passion that anchored them. Lyra's robe slipped during one such interlude, her body pressing to his in the dim cabin light, seeking solace in physical connection. Their union was fervent, a blend of tenderness and fire, her sighs echoing as they moved together, bridging the gap between control and surrender. Afterward, wrapped in sheets, she traced his scars. "You're my salvation, not my trigger." But doubt lingered. The twist's surprise seeding questions: was their love real or programmed? Upon arrival, the palace greeted them with uneasy calm, repairs underway, the twins rushing into their arms with joyful tentacles. But as Illy hugged them, a psychic echo rippled, faint but familiar. Vin's eyes glowed briefly, mirroring Lyra's earlier void. The twist deepened. The code had begun to activate in the heirs, triggered by Illy's presence. Horror gripped him. This wasn't over, it was evolving. Lyra sensed it too, her face ashen. "We have to find the source, before it consumes us all." Rallying the loyal advisors, they locked down the palace, diving into ancient texts and genetic scans. Illy's hybrid blood proved crucial, samples revealing a counter-sequence, a ritual requiring his essence to purge the code. But the process was risky, demanding a psychic link that could bind or break them. As they prepared in a sacred chamber, lit by glowing crystals, tension mounted. Lyra disrobed for the rite, her gowned form giving way to vulnerability, Ellie joining her in a circle of energy. Their hands linked, bodies close. The link formed a surge of memories, desires, fears shared in a torrent. In the midst of it, the powerful twist struck again, as the code unraveled. Visions flooded, revealing that Ellie's late wife hadn't died in an accident. She'd been a hybrid too, assassinated by the same faction to isolate him, drawing him to Zarathia. The surprise took his breath. His entire life had been manipulated, a pawn in cosmic chess. Tears flowed as Lyra held him through the revelation, their link deepening the pain but also the love. "She led you to me," Lyra whispered, her curves pressing comfortingly. Together, they completed the purge, the code dissolving in a burst of light. Exhausted but free, they emerged, the twins stabilized, the empire secure for now. The surprises had reshaped them, turning pain into power, love into legend. Yet, the void called. With more hybrids out there, alliances to forge, Illy and Lyra stood united, ready for whatever twists awaited, their story a testament to humanity's unyielding heart. Yet, the void called. With more hybrids out there, alliances to forge. Illy and Lyra stood united, ready for whatever twists awaited, their story a testament to humanity's unyielding heart. As the sacred chamber's crystals dimmed to a soft afterglow, casting long shadows across the polished floors, Illy helped Lyra to her feet, her body still trembling slightly from the ritual's intensity. She leaned into him, her white hair disheveled and clinging to her pale skin, the robe she'd worn for the rite slipping off one shoulder in a way that stirred memories of their more private moments. The twins, waiting just outside with a cluster of wide-eyed guards, rushed forward as the doors hissed open, their tentacles wrapping around legs and waists in a chaotic embrace that nearly toppled everyone. "Mama, Papa Illy," glowy lights go boom. Ilar chirped, his eyes sparkling with innocent curiosity, while Vin tugged at Illy's sleeve, demanding, "Story time now, about the bad code monster." Illy chuckled, scooping Vin up despite the ache in his muscles from the psychic strain, his voice light but edged with exhaustion. "Sure, kiddo, but let's make it a happy ending this time. No monsters, just heroes napping after saving the day." Lyra smiled weakly, her curvaceous form straightening as she regained her composure, but the drama of the moment lingered like an unspoken storm cloud. The guards exchanged awkward glances, unsure whether to bow, salute, or simply back away from this oddly domestic royal scene. One young sentry, a scaled youth with fidgeting tentacles, stammered, "Your Majesty, the council awaits a report. And, there's a delegation from the outer colonies demanding audience." Something about hybrid rumors spreading like wildfire. The word hybrid hung in the air, heightening the tension as Lyra's small pointed ears twitched in irritation. Rumors, already? The purge had been internal, but news traveled faster than light in an empire like Zarathia, especially with traitors' whispers echoing through the void. Illy set Vin down, feeling the weight of prying eyes, guards who now knew his secret lineage, advisors lurking in the shadows with agendas of their own. "Great," he muttered under his breath, forcing a grin. Nothing says relax after almost unraveling reality like a surprise pop quiz from the colonies. Lyra shot him a look that mixed amusement and exasperation, her hand slipping into his as they moved toward the council hall, the twins trailing behind like a royal entourage of mischief. The hall was a grand expanse of crystal and holograms, filled with dignitaries from distant worlds, ambassadors with glowing auras, merchants in elaborate robes, and colony representatives whose rugged attire spoke of frontier hardships. As Illy and Lyra entered, flanked by the twins who immediately began poking at a floating display orb, the room fell into a hush that quickly erupted into murmurs. "The human, he's one of them," whispered a tentacled envoy, loud enough to carry. Illy felt heat rise to his face, the awkwardness amplifying the drama like a spotlight on a stage he never auditioned for. Here he was, a former janitor-turned-nanny-turned-hybrid hero, standing before interstellar elites who eyed him like a lab specimen. Lyra ascended the dais with regal poise, her gown, hastily adjusted but still bearing faint ritual marks, clinging in ways that drew more than a few lingering gazes. "Esteemed guests," she began, her voice commanding yet warm, "the threats to Zarathia have been neutralized. The hybrids among us are not enemies, but bridges to stronger alliances." Illy stood beside her, trying to look dignified, but Ilar chose that moment to climb his leg like a vine, declaring loudly, "Papa Illy has magic blood, he zapped the monster in Mama's head." The room gasped, then tittered with nervous laughter, the drama spiking as ambassadors exchanged bewildered looks. Illy pried the child off gently, whispering, "Timing, buddy, work on the timing," which elicited a chuckle from a nearby merchant, breaking some of the ice but leaving him flushed in embarrassment. The delegation's leader, a burly colony governor named X-Aurel with a mane of iridescent fur, stepped forward, his voice booming. "Queen Lyra, we've heard tales of this humans' involvement. If hybrids exist, what does it mean for our packs? Our worlds have suffered Dravex raids. Do we bow to mixed-blood saviors now?" The question dripped with skepticism, heightening the drama as murmurs swelled into debates. Lyra's eyes flashed, but before she could respond, Vin toddled up to X-Aurel, staring up with wide eyes. "You furry like a space bear, can I pet?" The governor froze, his imposing stature comically undermined by the tiny prince's innocent demand, tentacles waving expectantly. Laughter rippled through the hall, X-Aurel's fur bristling in awkward surprise before he knelt with a gruff chuckle. "Aye, little one, but gently, I'm no pet." Illy seized the moment to diffuse the tension, stepping forward with his easy human charm. "Look, I'm as surprised as anyone about the hybrid thing. One day I'm mopping floors and chasing toddlers. The next I'm zapping cosmic curses. But if it means stronger ties against the Dravex, count me in. No capes required, though a vacation would be nice." His quip drew more laughs, but the underlying drama pulsed stronger. Eyes darted between him and Lyra, whispers hinting at their obvious closeness. "The queen and the human, more than allies," one ambassador muttered, just audible enough to make Lyra's cheeks tint faintly, her pointed ears flushing in a telltale sign of discomfort. As discussions heated, awkward situations piled on like asteroid debris. An envoy from Iscaria, a slender being with bioluminescent skin, presented a holographic treaty draft that accidentally projected upside down, symbols scrambling into nonsense. "Apologies," she stammered, fumbling controls while the room snickered. Illy, ever the fixer, leaned over. "Here, twist this, Earth tech is similar." "There, fixed, though now it looks like it's proposing a pizza alliance instead of peace." The envoy blinked, then burst into laughter, the mishap turning into a bridge of shared humor. But drama escalated when X-Aurel pressed further. "Prove it, human, if your blood stabilizes our psychics. Demonstrate?" Illy hesitated, the request bordering on invasive, but Lyra nodded subtly, her hand squeezing his in support. In a makeshift ritual before the council, crystals arranged hastily. The twins watching wide-eyed, Illy offered a sample, his vein pricked by a medical drone, as it interfaced with a test subject. A colony psychic plagued by instability, the room held its breath. Energy flared, the psychic's aura steadying dramatically, but in the surge, a feedback loop hit Illy, sending him staggering back with a comedic yelp. "Whoa, feels like chugging rocket fuel," he gasped, steadying himself on Lyra's arm, her curvaceous form providing unexpected support as she caught him. The council erupted, gasps of awe mixed with chuckles at his undignified wobble. "Human resilience indeed," X-Aurel boomed, clapping him on the back hard enough to jolt him again. "You're hired, or whatever queens do with heroes these days." Yet the humor masked deeper drama as alliances formed. Encrypted alert pinged Lyra's console, a distress signal from a hybrid enclave under attack by unknown forces. "Not Dravex," she whispered to Illy, her voice tight. "Something new, shadow ships, no markings." The hall quieted as she shared the news, tension coiling like a spring. Illy's mind raced, more enemies, or remnants of the old faction? Awkwardly, he realized his new status thrust him into command. Ambassadors looked to him for input. "Well, folks," he said with forced levity, "looks like vacation's canceled. Who's up for a rescue mission? I'll bring the snacks, Earth popcorn for the drama." Preparations turned the palace into a hive of activity, ships fueling, teams assembling, but awkwardness struck when the twins insisted on helping, sneaking into the armory and activating a training drone that chased advisors through the halls in a slapstick frenzy. "Bad drone. Sit," Vin commanded, tentacles flailing, while Illy corralled it with a laugh. Kids these days, literally weaponizing playtime. Lyra, amidst the chaos, pulled him aside into an alcove, her body pressing close in a stolen moment. "Be careful out there," she murmured, her lips brushing his in a kiss that blended worry and want, but a passing guard cleared his throat loudly, turning the intimate exchange into flustered awkwardness. "Your Majesty, the fleet awaits?" Apologies," Illy grinned, pulling away with a wink. Duty calls, awkward interruptions included. As he boarded the lead ship, drama heightened with the unknown ahead, shadow attackers, hybrid kin in peril. The fleet launched into the void, stars streaking by, Illy at the helm with a mix of human grit and newfound power. Scans revealed the Enclave, a cloaked station orbiting a gas giant, under siege by sleek, unmarked vessels firing precision strikes. They're jamming comms, a pilot reported, voice edged with fear. The battle ignited dramatically, lasers lancing through space, shields flaring. Illy's ship dodged debris, his hybrid senses sharpening, premonitions of incoming fire guiding evasive maneuvers. "Port side now," he barked, saving them from a blast. But awkward humor surfaced mid-fight, a console malfunction sprayed sparks, and Illy quipped, "Note to self, alien tech hates human swearing." Laughter steadied the crew, but drama peaked as they boarded the station, corridors echoing with clashes. Inside, hybrids, humans with subtle alien traits fought desperately. Illy led the charge, staff blazing, disarming foes with precise strikes. One attacker unmasked revealed a shocking hybrid himself, eyes wild. "We're freeing ourselves from your control," he snarled, heightening the intrigue, a civil war among hybrids. The rescue turned chaotic, alliances fracturing in awkward betrayals, old friends turning foes mid-battle. Illy grappled with one, pinning him. "We're not the enemy talk." But a blast separated them, debris pinning Illy momentarily, his predicament comically undignified as he wriggled free. "Stuck like a bad date," he grunted, drawing chuckles from allies. As they evacuated survivors, drama surged with a massive shadow cruiser emerging from the gas giant's rings, weapons charging. "Evac now," Illy ordered, scooping a wounded hybrid child who clung to him like the twins. The fleet retreated under fire, shields buckling, but Illy's ingenuity shone, rerouting power for a hyperspace jump that left pursuers in the dust. Back on Zarathia, the survivors integrated awkwardly. Cultural clashes sparking humor, a hybrid trying Zarathian cuisine and spitting it out dramatically. Tastes like stardust regret. Lyra greeted them, relief washing over her as she embraced Illy amid the throng. But the rescued leader dropped a bomb. "The shadows are led by your consort's brother, alive, seeking revenge." Drama exploded, Lyra's past resurrected. Awkward secrets unraveling, Illy held her, humor his shield, family reunions in space always a blast. Yet tensions mounted, the Empire on edge, their love tested anew in this web of drama, awkwardness, and levity. The void whispered more challenges, but together, they faced it, hearts intertwined. The void whispered more challenges, but together, they faced it, hearts intertwined. As the fleet regrouped in Zarathia's orbit, the shadow cruiser's defeat echoing through comm channels like a fading nightmare, Illy stood on the bridge, gazing at the swirling nebulae that cradled their world. Lyra joined him, her presence a soothing balm against the day's frenzy, her white hair catching the console lights in a soft cascade that framed her delicate features. She slipped her hand into his, fingers lacing with a familiarity born of battles won and secrets shared, her curvaceous silhouette leaning against him in quiet solidarity. The Empire was on edge. Yes, rumors of the resurrected consort's brother rippling through the colonies like gravitational waves, but in this moment, amid the hum of engines and the distant twinkle of stars, they found a fragile peace. Word of the attack on the hybrid enclave had spread swiftly, drawing envoys from across the galaxy to Zarathia's Grand Assembly. The palace, still bearing scars from recent skirmishes, buzzed with a tense energy as delegations arrived, humans from fringe outposts, aliens of every hue and form, all seeking answers in the wake of the revelations. Illy, once the unassuming nanny, now stood at the center of it all, his hybrid heritage no longer a shadow but a beacon. Lyra addressed the gathering from her throne, her voice steady and resonant, weaving tales of unity that transcended bloodlines. "We are not divided by our origins," she declared, her emerald eyes sweeping the room, but strengthened by them. "The threats we face, the shadows, the old factions, they thrive on our fears, but together, as Zarathians, humans, hybrids, we become unbreakable." Illy watched her with a swell of pride, his role evolving from protector to partner in this cosmic tapestry. The twins, perched on a nearby dais under watchful guards, clapped their tentacles enthusiastically, Ilar shouting, "Mama strong, Papa Illy zap bad guys." The outburst drew warm laughter from the assembly, easing the drama into a shared sense of hope. Yet, beneath the surface, Illy knew the true test loomed, confronting Lyra's past incarnate, her consort's brother Zane, a name whispered like a curse in the archives. Scans from the rescued hybrids painted him as a mastermind, hidden in the uncharted voids, rallying dissenters with promises of pureblood supremacy. That night, As dual moons bathed the palace gardens in silver light, Illy and Lyra walked hand in hand among the bioluminescent blooms, the air alive with the soft chirps of nocturnal creatures. The twins had been tucked in with stories of heroic alliances, their psychic energies now stable and harmonious, a testament to the ritual's success. Lyra paused by a shimmering pool, her gown flowing like liquid starlight, hugging her form in ways that quickened Illy's pulse. Zane, he was always the ambitious one, she confessed softly, her small pointed ears drooping slightly with the weight of memory. My consort trusted him, but I saw the darkness. If he's alive, he'll come for the throne for us. Illy pulled her close, his arms encircling her waist, feeling the warmth of her body against his, a reminder of the intimacy that had anchored them through every storm. Then we'll be ready, he murmured, his lips brushing her forehead. I've faced worse than jealous in-laws, asteroid belts, toddler tantrums, you name it. Besides, I've got the ultimate weapon, a queen who fights like a goddess and loves like a supernova. She laughed, a melodic sound that danced through the night, her hands tracing the lines of his chest as she tilted her face up to his. Their kiss was deep and unhurried, a blend of passion and promise, her pale skin glowing under the moonlight as they lingered in the embrace, bodies pressing together in a silent vow, but peace was fleeting. Alarms shattered the tranquility days later, sensors detecting a massive fleet emerging from hyperspace, Zane's armada, cloaked in shadows no longer, bearing down on Zarathia with relentless fury. The Empire mobilized, ships launching in a symphony of coordinated chaos, Illy at the helm alongside Lyra, their commands syncing like extensions of each other's thoughts. The battle unfolded in the void's vast arena, lasers streaking like comets, shields flaring against onslaughts. Zane's voice crackled over open channels, a taunting echo. Sister-in-law, you've sullied our line with this human mongrel. Surrender, and I'll spare the heirs. Lyra's eyes blazed, her psychic power amplifying the fleet's defenses, creating barriers that deflected volleys with ethereal grace. Illy, drawing on his hybrid gifts, orchestrated counterstrikes, human ingenuity fused with alien might, hacking enemy systems to turn their own drones against them. Explosions bloomed like fiery flowers across the stars, debris scattering in silent testament to the clash. In the heat of it, Illy's ship took a hit, systems flickering as they boarded Zane's command vessel in a daring assault. Corridors rang with the clash of energy blades and psychic blasts, Illy and Lyra fighting back-to-back, her tentacles aiding his strikes in a dance of lethal harmony. They cornered Zane in the bridge, a towering figure with features eerily similar to the twins, sharp ears, glowing eyes, but twisted by bitterness. You think love conquers empires, he sneered, unleashing a psychic wave that slammed Illy against a console. Pain flared, but Illy rose, grit fueling him. Love, nah, it's the stubborn refusal to quit. HFY humanity, fuck yeah, but with a Zarathian twist. Lyra channeled her power, binding Zane's assault, allowing Illy to close in. In a final surge, they overwhelmed him, the flagship's self-destruct averted by Illy's quick rewiring, a miner's trick saving the day. With Zane captured and his fleet surrendering, the Empire exhaled. Trials followed, alliances solidified as hybrids integrated, their unique strengths forging a new era of prosperity. Illy, no longer just a visitor, became Lyra's consort in a ceremony under the stars, the twins bearing rings with gleeful tentacles, the assembly cheering as worlds united. Their union was celebrated across galaxies, a symbol of bridged divides, human resilience meeting alien elegance. Years passed in a blur of peace and adventure. The twins grew into wise rulers in training, their powers a force for good. Guided by Illy's earthly wisdom and Lyra's regal insight, Illy's daughter from Earth joined them, the family expanding in ways that warmed his soul. Outings to distant planets blending human picnics with psychic games. Lyra and Illy's love deepened, stolen moments in the atrium evolving into a lifetime of shared dreams, her body entwined with his under moonlit vines, whispers of eternity in every touch. In the quiet of their chambers, as gray touched Illy's hair and wisdom etched Lyra's features, they reflected on the journey from fired nanas to forged empires. You changed everything, Lyra murmured, her head on his chest, listening to the steady beat that had tamed chaos. Illy smiled, pulling her closer. We did. Humanity's grit, your grace perfect match. The stars outside wheeled on, guardians of their legacy, a story of love conquering the cosmos, where one single dad's heart proved the mightiest force in the universe. And in that harmony, they found their forever, the void no longer a threat, but a canvas for endless wonders. And so, As the cosmos unfolded its infinite tapestry, Queen Lyra's legacy inspired generations, proving that love and grit could bridge any divide in the stars. Personally, I love how this HFY tale celebrates human resilience in a romantic sci-fi wrapper. It's uplifting and fun. What do you think? Should there be a sequel with the twins' adventures? Thank you all for watching. Your likes, subs, comments, and shares are our biggest motivation to create even better stories.